Okay, we are now 100 days into Trump's second term. And I don't know about you. I don't know how you're feeling about it, but I'm feeling everything President Trump is doing, that RFK Jr. is doing, Secretary, HHS Secretary RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel, Pam Biondi, Nate, Pete Hegseth. Um, I love everything that they're all doing. So, and Tom Homan too. Got to give Tom Homan some credit. So many people, Dan Bongino, so many people that are just a part of this amazing team to make America great again, and to keep America great again, and to make America healthy again, and then hopefully to keep it healthy. That will be the goal. If you can keep it, a wise man once said. So we'll see if they can actually keep it. And I believe they can. It's worth a try. At least you're trying. Trump is doing so much in this first 100 days, and I don't believe these polls. I don't believe the polling that says his numbers are down. From what I heard, those polls did not include any Trump supporters. But regardless, I've never trusted the polls. Never, even when they were in Trump and Kennedy's favor. You know, when I was writing the book Kennedy and Trump, there were a lot of polls that I had taken notes on because they were posting about it, but I never put them. I don't think I put any of the polls into the book because I just don't believe them. I don't trust them. No one's ever asked me. So they don't speak for me. And I'm sure many of you have fallen into that same category. Who are these pollsters? Who are they? They grab 1,000 people, and all of a sudden those 1,000 people speak for the whole country. So I'm not buying it. We have a lot to go through today, and so I'm going to start with just a little bit, just the opening part of this. This is about 28 minutes long. This happened this morning. We'll play a little bit of this.
Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that the bipartisan Take It Down Act passed the House last night. This important legislation was championed and guided through Congress by our wonderful First Lady, Melania Trump, including through her direct advocacy on behalf of survivors during her passage efforts. The Take It Down Act criminalizes the publication of non-consensual intimate imagery and requires social media and similar websites to remove such content within 48 hours of notice from a victim. The First Lady thanks all those who voted in favor of this important legislation, and the President looks forward to signing it when it arrives on his desk. Today officially marks 100 days of promises made and promises kept by President Trump. This has truly been the most historic start to a presidency in American history. After building the greatest economy in the world in his first term as president, President Trump is in the process of doing that all over again. The American people trust in President Trump. Since his first day in office, President Trump has focused on defeating the Biden inflation crisis, bringing down the cost of living, and making the United States the best place in the world to do business, invest, create jobs, and innovate. And President Trump's efforts are working. 345,000 jobs have already been added since the start of President Trump's term. Last month's jobs report saw nearly 100,000 more jobs than economists predicted, and it was the fourth highest month for private payroll growth in the past 2 years. 9,000 manufacturing jobs have been added to the economy already. This is a sharp contrast to the 6,000 manufacturing jobs that were lost each month in the final 2 years of the Biden administration. The U.S. employment rate remains at historic lows. And thanks to President Trump, Americans are seeing price relief for the first time in years. The last inflation report showed the first consumer price decline since the COVID pandemic, a decrease in energy prices, and real average hourly wage growth. President Trump is delivering on his promises to lower costs for American families and businesses. Prices across the board for everyday goods have seen declines since this president was inaugurated. From airfare to used motor vehicles to prescription drugs, prices are dropping. In fact, last month's drop in the price of prescription drugs was the largest ever recorded. And after Joe Biden botched the response to the bird flu, President Trump and Secretary Rollins' aggressive plan have brought down wholesale egg prices more than 50% from Inauguration Day. President Trump ended Joe Biden's reckless war on American energy and fossil fuels and has restored American energy dominance. And Secretary Wright, Secretary Doug Burgum are working hard on that effort every single day. Oil and gas prices are now way down because of this bold approach. Gasoline prices down 7%. Energy prices are also down as well. The Department of Interior just announced a new offshore drilling policy that will boost oil production in the Gulf of America by 100,000 barrels per day. On the deregulation front, President Trump is committed to cutting senseless red tape, especially for America's small business owners who are the backbone of our economy. We know cutting regulation leads to lower costs and higher growth. The mass deregulation effort by this administration will help usher in the golden age of America, which is underway. Immediately upon taking office, President Trump blocked all of the unfinalized Biden-era rules, saving America's more than $100 billion, or $2,100 per family of four over the next decade. And the president also launched a bold multi-agency effort to roll back existing federal regulations that drive up the cost of living on hardworking families. This effort is projected to yield significant cost savings in the coming months, including the EPA's rollback of tailpipe emission rules for light-duty and medium-duty vehicles, and the Department of Transportation's latest corporate average fuel economy standards. These two efforts alone yield $755 billion in total savings, or more than $8,800 per family of four over the next decade. In total, the combined savings from all of these actions equal just over $935 billion, or nearly $11,000 in real savings per family of four per the coming decade. The press is not talking nearly enough about the positive impact of President Trump's deregulation campaign. And investments from the biggest companies and countries in the world are pouring in under this president. So far, total investment commitments under the Trump administration have reached more than $5 trillion, including $500 billion from Apple in U.S.-based manufacturing and training, $500 billion from NVIDIA in AI infrastructure, $100 billion from TSMC and U.S.-based chips manufacturing, and the $500 billion private investment by OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank in AI infrastructure as well. All of these investment commitments are estimated to generate at least 451,000 new high-paying jobs for American workers and families. At this point, President Trump has secured more investments in the United States of America in 100 days than Joe Biden did in 4 years. President Trump is America's businessman in chief, and that's why these trillions of dollars in investments are flooding to our country. The business community is bullish on America because President Trump is back in charge. Tomorrow, the president will host CEOs and leaders from several companies that have made these investments to tout their historic commitments to our country and encourage others to follow suit. Okay. Under President Trump,
Let's read right there. It's about 6 minutes. That's good stuff. I mean, great stuff here. But I want to get to some of the, this is a memo, the first 100 days of the economy. I'm going to put this in the chat room. So people go if you want to go and check that out later. whitehouse.gov. It's all right there. So let's read through some of this great stuff that we are seeing just in the first 100 days from the White House. Job statistics. President Trump has created 345,000 jobs since taking office in January. 188,000, that's 54% of these, were in non-government and government-adjacent sectors. This is a dramatic improvement from the last 2 years of the Biden administration, when 3/4 of all new jobs were in government or government-adjacent sectors, 2,000 of which were mining and logging jobs, 27,000 of which were construction jobs, 9,000 were manufacturing jobs. Manufacturing jobs were created compared to the 6,000 manufacturing jobs lost per month from January 2023 to December of 2024. What a difference. What a difference a president can make in this world. At the same time that there were large private sector job gains, 15,000 federal government jobs were cut. You know, that's government waste, by the way. They act like, oh, they're cutting all of the good job, cutting all the people. They're cutting all of the funding and all of the care. That's not what they're doing. They're cutting dull care. They're cutting the waste. They are not slashing all of the programs or getting rid of all the things that will actually help people in this country. They're showing that we have overhired, underfired, and now we are making a play to be admired across the world as people are mowing their lawns at 7:30 in the morning. My goodness. The labor force participation rate for those without a high school diploma is up by 0.7% since President Trump took office. The veteran unemployment rate is down from 4.2% in January to 3.8% in March. 228,000 jobs were created in March alone, well above expectations. This was the fourth best month in the last 2 years for private payroll growth. Remote work among federal employees has fallen over 16 percentage points from March last year to March this year, showcasing the success of President Trump's initiative to bring federal workers back to the office. That's federal workers going back to the office. Federal telework numbers are now in line with the private sector. Inflation statistics. Prescription drug prices are down over 2% since President Trump took office. Last month's drop in price of prescription drugs was the largest ever recorded. Gasoline prices, as measured by the Consumer Price Index, CPI, are down 7% since President Trump took office. Energy prices are down 2% since President Trump took office. Wholesale egg prices down are about 50% since President Trump took office. Most consumers have seen relief in prices on the shelf, but all consumers should see it within the next month or two. Relief is good, but I'm more in line with seeing more healthier things on the shelves. And I think most Americans would agree with me on that. Are we willing to pay more? Are we willing to pay more for our health to make America healthy again? Are we willing to sacrifice more to make America great again with these tariffs things? And I see a lot of people kind of freaking out about the tariff issue. I'm not freaking out about it. This country survived many things. We survived World War I, World War II, really. We survived the Great Depression. We survived flus. We survived pandemics. We have survived Vietnam. We've survived almost through anything and everything. Maybe we got a little spoiled. Maybe we got a little greedy. Maybe we're just a little too comfortable in where we are and what we think we are entitled to. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let me read through some more of this and then play a little bit more of that video. February inflation, the month prior to the most recent data, showed the smallest annual increase in core inflation in over 4 years since March 2021. Both of the last two CPI inflation prints came in below expectation. Last month's decline was only the second monthly decline in inflation CPI in the last 2.5 years. These price declines are in contrast to the persistently high inflation under President Biden, which reached the highest annual rate in the past 40 years. Also suffering for years under Biden administration inflation, consumers are now getting welcome relief. On Biden's watch, grocery prices rose 23% and energy prices rose 34%. As a result of biting inflation, that's BITING, real wages in President Biden's term were down about 2.4%. Moreover, in the most recent inflation print from March, airfare, used motor vehicles, and motor insurance all saw price decreases. Prices for wholesale goods fell nearly 1% last month, and prices for wholesale services fell 0.2% last month, which will eventually lead to lower consumer prices. Last month, retail egg price inflation continued to slow. Now, there's some other great things that you can read. I'm not going to read the whole thing here. There are some charts about the private sector, the reduction in federal government jobs, monthly manufacturing job gain losses. All great stuff right there. So I'm sure, like they did before, they are going to release some type of a 100 day plan or something like that. Trump effect. Here we go. A running list of new U.S. investment in President Trump's second term. Since President Trump took office, his unwavering commitment to revitalizing American industry has spurred trillions of dollars of investments in U.S. manufacturing, production, innovation, and the list is continuing to grow. So you can read a lot about that. And don't forget that tonight, President Trump will be speaking. He will have his first rally, I guess, since being re-elected, since returning to the White House. I'll be looking forward to that. That should be a great moment in history. I'm going to see what time exactly that. It's going to be everywhere. So RSBN is going to be covering it. They do such great stuff every time. This looks like well, I mean, they're going. Look at this. They're already ready to go live. So they're going to be live probably the whole day, more than likely. But they are they're gearing up. They're about ready to go live in about 90 minutes. I think Trump usually is around 3 or 4 when everybody's out off of work, for us that actually work here. That need to work. So that will be great. This will be a rally celebrating his first 100 days in Warren, Michigan. And Trump is set to announce a bunch of awesome things for this country, and some of those will be related to the tariffs. So we will see how all of that goes. I'm just looking over to see there's some very good stuff happening in the world of Fox News, which is still kind of crazy to me. So I'm going to play probably a little bit of this. This one is great too. But yeah, let's go to Fox News.
Sit back and relax the show, because today President Trump is set to commemorate his first 100 days with an event in the state of Michigan, where he's expected to make a major announcement for the future of America's car business.
Madeline Rivera is live at the White House with the details. Good morning, Maddie.
Good morning, guys. A senior administration official tells Fox that the move today to soften the blow of some of those car tariffs is meant to give manufacturers more time to move production back to the United States. A lot of industry insiders had mentioned concerns that doing something like that could potentially take years. So Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says this deal is a major victory for the president's trade policy by rewarding companies who manufacture domestically, while providing runway to manufacturers who have expressed their commitment to invest in America and expand their domestic manufacturing. So here's what we might see. The Wall Street Journal reports the 25% tariffs on foreign-made cars and parts will remain in effect, but the automakers won't have to pay other duties like those on steel and aluminum. This would be retroactive, meaning the manufacturers will be reimbursed for the tariffs they have already paid, and they'll also be reimbursed for some of the tariffs on imported auto parts. That levy is supposed to take effect on Saturday. The changes come as polls show most voters remain gloomy about the economy. As the president marks his 100th day in office today, a Fox News poll shows 38% approve of his performance on the economy, 56% disapprove, 33% approve of his moves on tariffs, 59% disapprove. But Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is aiming to reshape the message around the economy.
There's 1,100 people
We got a three-legged stool here. It's trade, it's tax, it's deregulation. President Trump has come out of the blocks roaring. And I think this is something new for the American people. He's given 1-2 press conferences a day, an incredible level of transparency.
And Bessent will be attending the briefing today with White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. That briefing is supposed to take place at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Yesterday, Bessent met with top GOP negotiators on the president's One Big Beautiful Bill, and they're really looking to that to unlock a lot of the president's domestic priorities, especially on border security, defense, and taxes. Lauren, Steve, Ainsley, and Brian.
All right, Madeline.
I wonder if Caroline Leavitt will start having these press conferences at 8:30 each morning, because yesterday she had that one with Tom Homan. Today she's having it with Scott Bessent. He talked to the GOP leaders about our economy. Trump did a great job handling immigration and handling our borders. He's cleaned up our country in a major way. Now, everyone, when you're in the streets, they love what he's doing, but they say, what he's doing with the car industry. This is going to be wonderful. Really focus on the tariffs and getting some of these deals done.
Well, and the thing about having a press briefing at 8:30, it's an hour before the market opens. And so if the administration's got something that could move the markets, it's a smart move.
Well, I think the administration is taking the messaging back, getting right back to why he was elected. So starting yesterday with what was happening at the border, I don't think we've had a more secure border. Tom Homan's leadership there, it was a campaign promise. Then you have today where people are saying, oh, the president doesn't understand our pain. He's going out there saying, look, I'm going to those union workers. These were normally Democratic voters. They switched over to the Republican Party. And he's saying, look, I'm going to help you out with some of the pain as we figure out this tariff situation. Now it's your move, China. Do you want to make a deal?
Didn't you miss Lawrence? He was on vacation last week.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who you met. Look how fresh he is. It's unbelievable. And I like to add, too, that today's going to be really impactful because it's the economic message. Yeah. And Scott Bessent is the people want to hear from, and they want to see deals come in. And
great.
I think
I've
they're
been
close.
really impressed with him. You've known him for a long time.
He's been doing the radio show for like 2 years. And people used to introduce me, he might be Treasury Secretary. And the answer would be, well, I never heard of him. Yeah. And now everyone's heard of him.
Know him now.
Yeah. Here's a look back at the 100 days as they were, as you lived them.
For American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day.
45 yesterday became 47. President Donald Trump got to work immediately, issued over 200 executive actions as his first cabinet official is confirmed unanimously. Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Pete Hegseth was sworn in as Defense Secretary, and Chrissy Noem was sworn in as Homeland Security Secretary on Saturday.
Now, these National Guard members that are down here, they have full authority.
The most powerful military in the world will not be intimidated by anybody, let alone cartels.
The border's closed.
Illegal border crossings are down more than 90%.
2 months in, border crossings are almost at zero.
President Trump thanking El Salvador for taking in hundreds of illegal migrants that were deported from our country.
We're getting them out in record numbers, and we're having a lot of problems with the courts because the courts want to pretend they're president. And they're not president. They didn't get 80 million votes.
In sanctuary cities, ICE agents have launched early morning raids, effectively ending the Biden-era catch and release program.
The very first bill I signed into law as your 47th president mandates the detention of all dangerous criminal aliens. It's called the Laken-Riley Act.
This is an order creating and implementing the Department of Governmental Efficiency, known as DOGE.
Okay, that's a big one.
Democrats say they want Elon Musk fired immediately. We're going to shut down Elon Musk's illegal operation.
If we don't do something about this deficit, the country's going bankrupt.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
DOGE says its estimated savings so far total about $140 billion.
We routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion or more.
And another Tesla property attacked.
It's under very serious investigation by the FBI and by the Justice Department. These people are terrorists.
There were 1,200 rallies called hands-off rallies protesting Donald Trump, his policies, DOGE, tariffs. Right now, the Dow future is down sharply as global markets take a big hit in response to President Trump's tariffs announcements. The president says America is in the driver's seat.
I'm telling you, these countries are calling themselves kissing my. They are dying to make a deal. Please stop making a deal.
Global markets soar as President Trump paused reciprocal tariff on most nations for 90 days.
We have a big job to do. No other president would have done what I did.
China raising tariffs on the U.S.
Beijing announces a 125% tariff on U.S. imports after the White House says tariffs on China are now at 145%.
A dozen Democrat-led states have sued the Trump administration over the tariffs.
In the end, I think what's going to happen is we're going to have great deals. And by the way, if we don't have a deal with a company or a country, we're going to set the tariff over the next 2-3 weeks.
The president issuing the executive order that all federal diversity, equity, and inclusion offices must close by 5 p.m. today.
Last week, long before the crash, I signed an executive order restoring our highest standards for air traffic controllers. Will restore faith in American air travel. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. I want Iran to be great. The only thing they can't have is a nuclear weapon. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right, you're gambling with World War III.
Another hostage release today. An American wrongfully detained in Russia for more than 3 years.
I feel like the luckiest man on earth right now.
On his first foreign trip, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is set to visit Panama.
Now, Panama's agreed not to renew the 2017 Chinese contract.
Vice President J.D. Vance visits the space base in Greenland.
We need Greenland for national security and international security. I think we'll go as far as we have to go. Canada should honestly become our 51st state. We wouldn't have a northern border problem. We wouldn't have a tariff problem.
Under the Biden administration, there was a war against American energy, and today that war officially has ended.
President Trump carrying through on one of his campaign promises, signing a much anticipated executive order to dismantle the Department of Education.
I want Congress to be a partner in this, and I believe they will be.
By September, we will know what has caused the autism epidemic, and we'll be able to eliminate those exposures.
In a few moments, I'll sign a historic executive order to ban men from competing in women's sports. It's about time.
The president has made it quite clear that it's Harvard who has put themselves in a position to lose their own funding by not obeying federal law.
We will stand bravely. We will live proudly. We will dream boldly. And nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours. And our golden age has just begun.
That seems like 4 years.
Yeah.
It seems like 4 years. I mean, compare that to the Biden administration. He had one day when he stacked up the executive orders, he signed them, and then we didn't see him for 3 months.
Yeah.
And now this president nonstop, he's just pumping out more today and more yesterday, more today. Look for helping out cops, get them legal backup if in case they're wrongly accused of acting on the job. And now today he goes out to Michigan to explain what's going to be done. And also the auto tariffs might be getting an exemption on this whole tariff trauma.
Brian, I think your explanation yesterday about the report card and
Great, amazing
how they're doing so
100
much
days.
so fast. And you talk about the
There, a great, amazing 100 days so far. And so many more to come. So many more things to come too. So there is also, the Republicans are also speaking right now. Looks like they are live.
Is this big, beautiful bill, which is why we call it that. The president's approval rating is better than it was in 2017 when he got started, right? Because people trust him. The thing about President Trump is he's had an administration. This is not a new thing. People remember. It's hard to remember. It seems like it was 20 years ago. But right before COVID, we had the greatest economy in the history of the world. There's been a little question and concern about, the rocky start, some of the stock market, some of the tariff policy and all that. But right now, even today, people are beginning to see the dust settle on that. They understand there was a master strategy behind this, and they're seeing the results. We're going to have 100 countries, by some accounts, and maybe higher, renegotiate their trade policies with America because of what President Trump did. He's the only leader bold enough to have done that. And that's going to be a net positive, of course, for all the American people. It's going to be more fair for us. We trust the executive to do that. We trust this executive to do that. President Trump has had some great achievements. So look, polling goes up and down. We all talk about it, pros and cons. But at the end of the day, we're going to deliver on these results, and the American people are going to reward us for it. Yeah.
Two of your members, at least Stefanik and Mike Lawler, are both considering runs for governor of New York. Those one seat in particular, Congressman Lawler's seat, may be one of the most competitive in the country. They can't do both. They can't run for governor and Congress. Will you have conversations with them about what works best for your conference? And have you started having those conversations yet?
I have lots of conversations. I love them both. They're two of my favorite people and my most trusted colleagues, and they're both super talented, which is why they get talked about for doing other things. We have lots of look. We've got a very talented group here. We have lots of House Republicans who are being courted to run for Senate or governor or do something big. I mean, my preference is that they all stay here with me. Right? We get the job done. But I don't begrudge anybody for having other opportunities, and we ultimately support them in whatever they do. But are we having conversations? We are, yeah, and that's all I'm going to say about it. But
Okay, well, I hope they can get this big, beautiful bill going because it's time. It's past time. Now I'm hearing July 4th. It looks like that will be the big, beautiful bill. We will see. But I'm really excited for Trump's speech later this evening. That should be a fun one. That should be great to watch. And so we're going to hear the other side, Trump's side of all of this about the polling and all this crazy stuff. So I wanted to play this one. This looks like this is from last night. Greg Gutfeld. Oh, from the 5. Okay, so this is from yesterday. And this is about a 3-minute clip here. Greg Gutfeld talking about RFK Jr.
RFK Jr. outlining his plan to phase out artificial dyes from the U.S. food supply. Don't worry, Jesse. Your hair dye's safe. For now. Roll it, Roland.
We have them on the run now, and we are going to win this battle. And 4 years from now, we're going to have most of these products off the market, or you will know about them when you go in the grocery store.
So, Dana, I don't know how you feel about artificial dyes. I mean, don't you feel like this is a disadvantage for ugly food?
Yeah,
How will
for
ugly?
sure.
I mean, it's like telling a 7 or a 6 that she can't wear makeup.
No, and then you realize that she's a 1.
Yes.
Oh, it's going to be a long night. I understand the idea. I understand that Europe has done a lot of this. Food in Europe is pretty good. I haven't noticed a problem. I got to go to Spain. It was fine. But I do wonder about European style regulations sometimes, and if it's self-inflicted economic harm. And that I also don't know why you have to go to war with companies unless, is there a way to do we have to be at war with everybody? Can we just maybe cooperate and see if there's a way to get things better? But I know that this is very popular with some people.
Jesse, RFK Jr. believes that these dyes have contributed to behavioral problems. If that were the case, wouldn't we be all freaked up like freaks right now? Because I ate so much breakfast cereal. It was coming out of my ears.
Right, but you stopped eating the breakfast cereal.
No.
You still eat Trix?
Oh, I'll eat it at midnight.
You really? Okay. Well, you do other things, but other people don't. And they eat 17 bowls of it. And then they eat Flaming Hot Cheetos. And then they eat Baja California Mountain Dew. And so his point is this. This is not nanny state. This is just telling people what this stuff is. And they have agreed without being sued to remove it. Now, Trix tried this. And they used radishes, purple carrots, and turmeric. Is that how you say it?
Yes, it's great.
And no one bought Trix because all the colors were dull. So they went back to the food dyes. So hopefully this works out because it does cause ADHD and it lowers your testosterone if you eat too much of this stuff. Is it true? I read it on the internet, Dana.
Okay.
Has to be true.
Got it.
Judge, would you ever eat ugly food?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been accused of making it sometimes too. Look, here's the thing about RFK. This guy fought his family, his party. He's in there doing what he thinks and what I believe is it's long past time for this country to do. Where the FDA and the CDC, nobody really gave a damn. You've got Japan, Europe, you've got other countries who banned all of these color dyes. And in the United States, we're seeing all kinds of suffering as a result of all of these poisons and carcinogens. And you, as he said, you want petroleum in your cereal? Go ahead, pour it at home yourself. But don't put it in my cereal. I give him incredible credit. And the president, too.
I'm
for
all
giving
for
him
it.
the ability
Get the stuff
to
out
do
of the
it.
food.
All right.
Even
One more
though
thing's up
can't they
next.
mandate
Sorry,
it.
kid.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling
All right, good
analysis.
stuff there.
You won't
as
get it anywhere
always.
else.
I didn't see anything really on Secretary Kennedy's X channel, but I did want to just go through a few things that President Trump has posted here, and then I'm going to sign off. It's going to be another wild, fun, and crazy day in the USA. But I'm, again, really looking forward to President Trump speaking tonight. I'm curious to see who else is going to be there. And RSBN, their stream is starting here in about 1 hour. So they're going to be live all day long. Make sure that you catch that. They're awesome. I will be watching and listening and learning, hopefully. All right, this is what President Trump posted about 3 hours ago. 100 very special days. Make America great again. Daniel Alvarez of the RNC, Paul Perez of Border Patrol were great on Fox and Friends First. Thank you both, DJT. Okay, foreign and domestic investments totaling over $5 trillion under Trump add 451,000 jobs in America. Prominent pollster blasts colleagues for skewing Trump's 100-day approval. According to an ABC News Washington poll, 50% of Americans say they disapprove of the first 100 days in office. I don't believe it. Don't believe it at all. Here's what Trump says. The polls from the fake news are like news itself fake. We are doing great, better than ever before. I believe that. I definitely believe that. The USA lost billions of dollars a day in international trade under sleepy Joe Biden. I have now stemmed that tide and will be making a fortune very soon. Stay tuned. Stay tuned, my friends. It's all going to work out in the end. Okay. Have a little patience, have a little faith, right? Let me see. I think that's about it. What is this one? I don't think
We're thrilled to welcome everyone to the White
Yeah, that's a sports one. This one's
Heading back to the White House, Mr. Trump pledges to take swift and sweeping action to close the southern border and to deport millions of migrants here illegally.
Donald Trump's political career has been defined by his promise to deal with illegal immigration.
My administration has launched the most sweeping border and immigration crackdown in American history.
We've seen illegal border crossings drop 98%.
The southern border now, under his leadership, has the lowest number of legal crossings in the history of the United States of America.
We are the face of why there is becoming change. President Trump, thank you.
He's a man of his word. He wants to get rid of fentanyl. He wants to make sure that we stop the killing of innocent Americans.
President Trump was able to do in 7 weeks what the Biden administration couldn't or wouldn't do in 4 years. Right now, as you and I are talking, we have the most secure border in the history of this nation.
The media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation, but it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
And it is true. It is definitely true. That's all we needed was a new president to take over, someone who cared, someone who really wanted to get the job done, and someone who would try. For all of our victories and all of our failures, the main thing is to try. If you are trying, you are doing something very good. If you say, well, that can never be done, you can never do that, so why even try? You've already set yourself up for failure. Failure is a part of life, and through failure is how we learn to win, and you appreciate the win a lot more when you fail. Trust me, I know this firsthand. Hey, Rick, my friend, how are you? Happy good morning, and I guess congratulations on a new prime minister. Meet the old boss. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss is what it sounds like. So good luck there. 51st state could still happen at any moment. America has its arms open. We are ready with arms wide open. Was that a Creed song? And we are definitely ready at any time. So come on in. The water's fine. Join us. We'll make it. We'll make Canada great again too. So with the border crossings, with everything that Trump is doing, and everything that RFK Jr. is doing, things are looking up. So buck up, all you naysayers, and get ready for 100 more days of greatness. It is coming. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind. So now looking at RFK Jr., Secretary Kennedy, I should say. This is what he wrote. Firefighters are among the most courageous and selfless people in our society. They stand as a living testament to the principle that public service is the highest calling. Firefighter health and safety programs remain a top priority for HHS.gov. As the agency continues to streamline its operations, critical services and NIOSH will remain intact. Now, this is something that really hit me hard. Here. This is from Kennedy spoke the other day at the 2025 RX and Illicit Drugs Summit in Nashville, Tennessee. This is a very powerful speech. And I am not a fan of the 12-step program. I don't think that's any secret. I'm not really like boycotting it or against it or anything, but I'm just not really a fan of it. until I hear stories like this, until I hear people like RFK Jr. talk about his trials, his battle with drugs, and his battle to stay sober, to get sober and then stay sober. He stopped doing drugs when he was 28 years old. And he's like, what, 70? He's in 78 or something. So that's a long, long time. If you have not seen this whole speech, it's about 31 minutes, the whole thing. And it's really, really good. It's definitely worth watching. So this is what he posted on April 26th. At the 2025 RX and Illicit Drugs Summit in Nashville, Secretary Kennedy shared his personal journey through addiction and recovery, emphasizing the critical role of community, purpose, and spiritual connection in combating the opioid crisis. As part of the MAHA agenda, HHS is committed to addressing the root causes of addiction and fostering environments where recovery is possible. And so I am going to play. This is only 2.5 minutes here. It's very powerful. The whole thing is really powerful. There were a few spots that really got me. Let's listen in.
Addiction is about isolation. We have to do all of the nuts and bolts things that you are all involved with, the practical, pragmatic things. We need Suboxone, we need methadone, we need an naltrexone, we need Narcan, we need good fentanyl detectors that can detect it on pills, et cetera, so the kids are less likely to overdose. We need prevention, we need education, and we have $4 billion at my agency to finance those solutions and those attacks on addiction and overdose. But that alone, throwing money at it, is not alone going to work. We need to really focus on reestablishing these historic ties to community. I tell people who are unhappy with their lives, who lost a boyfriend or a girlfriend, who are in a depression, I say one of the best ways to deal with that is to wake up in the morning and instead of saying, what can I do to make myself happy? What can I do to make myself more loved? What can I do to get my boyfriend back? I say, when you get up in the morning, you have to ask one question. You have to say, reporting for duty, sir. And then you have to ask one question and say one prayer. Please make me useful to another human being today. I would encourage you all to think broadly about what our mission is, because it's not just about making sure every cop and every paramedic has naltrexone. That's important. And it's not just the prevention on the border. That's important. It's not just making sure that every addict, when they have those moments, when they're willing to ask for help, that there's a rehab ready for them to go to. And that is critically important. There are bigger issues. How do we restore our families? How do we restore that commitment to community? We need to do everything we can to reestablish hope in our kids, to reestablish a sense of mission in their lives, a sense of purposefulness, and opportunities for them to act as part of a community. So thank you all very much for your commitment to this issue, and God bless you.
God bless America. God bless men like this. RFK Jr. is definitely in the right spot. I'm so happy. Let me move here. So I got right behind me, whoop, right there, the famous handshake. Oh, the mega powers colliding. All featured in this new book here. Maybe a day or two away. Maybe tomorrow I'll release it. Kennedy and Trump by Greg Fernandez Jr. Oh, that's me. That's right. And then the back of the book, some of the quotes, and then you can see the infamous handshake right there. So all coming to a head. I'm so happy to release this book following the journey of Kennedy and Trump to the White House, back to the White House, however you want to say it, both of them returning to the White House. Kennedy was in the White House as a young boy when his uncle was the president, and we know Donald Trump was in the White House in 2017. Now they're both back, and now they're back in black, back in time to do some action. And they really have. They've stirred up a hornet's nest here of the same old swamp. So I don't know. I mean, some people were frustrated with Kennedy's with with Trump's first term. He didn't do a lot. He didn't do this, didn't do that. And just in 100 days, we can see all of the things that that Trump has done, President Trump has done, and that Kennedy is doing too. Kennedy's flying a little more under the radar just because, for whatever reason, things involving health, especially children's health, autism, vaccines, pharmaceutical drugs, that doesn't get a lot of media play. I don't know why that would be. I have no idea why that would be, but it doesn't. Even though it should be top of mind, top priority. And for many Americans, it is. So getting a guy like Kennedy in there where we can go directly to the source, not just look at some of these things that like you could just go and I'll just share. I mean, just this is just craziness. Look at some of this stuff, some of these things. Which one? Let's do this one here. I mean, just go to YouTube, type in RFK Jr. and look at all of the negative articles and negative things about this. You know, Kennedy, RFK has never seen an adult with full-blown autism. RFK says sugar is poison. I mean, it is poison. The RFK Jr. problem is the whole show devoted to the RFK Jr. problem. And look at these self-centered idiots who are just all about anti-RFK Jr. RFK Jr. is enormously dangerous. It's just ridiculous. So I don't know. And then this douche, John Oliver, definitely has some type of beef with Kennedy and with Trump too. But it goes on and on and on. Oh, there's some good stuff right here. Here we go. Boom. So when the hard part that they're having with RFK Jr. is attacking his message. They have to attack him. They have to attack the man because the message is really good. The message is let's make America healthy again. Who can be against that? So they have this really big issue with saying, well, how does that work? And he can't do it. He's not the right person to do it. He's not the right person for this job. But if he's not, then who is? Who better? And all these other people who have been in office, who have been in the spot, been in Congress, been in government, been in the health in industry, what have they done to get us to where RFK Jr. is at right now? Getting rid of these food dyes, getting rid of the fluoride in our water. These are things that are happening right now that RFK Jr. is doing right now. Not just talking about it, but doing it. Meeting with the big companies, the big drug companies, meeting with the big hospitals, the private industry, meeting with the Native Americans who have been suffering eating these poison foods, not afraid to call sugar poison, which it is, not afraid to say we need to look at the correlation, or I can't even think of the right word. We need to look at, is there, I can't even think of the right word. Is there a connection between autism and the vaccines? Is there a connection between autism and what we're feeding our children? Is there a connection between these things? Just for asking these questions, for saying we need studies, we need real studies, we need to go back to nonpartisan studies, and let's look at these very important issues. I'm very interested that Kennedy has not really tackled the lab leak thing, the vaccine, even though he wrote a book on it. It's just kind of been Trump's. Trump hasn't really talked about it either. And you notice the media, they're not really asking Trump or Kennedy about Fauci, about the pandemic. They're kind of leaning against that, staying away from that. They don't want to go there with the lab leak story. So once again, the media has their marching orders. They always have. But this is where we have a good opportunity to be a part of history, American history. So I'm proud to be a part of American history with this new book, Kennedy and Trump. This should be available here any day at any time, and you can get this. It will be free on my website. All of my books will be free on as a PDF. It will be a free PDF here. But if you do want to purchase it, you'll be able to purchase it at lulu.com. Look for lulu.com and then put in Greg Fernandez Jr. And this time I will be making this, like my first book, I will be making this a global distribution, so you can get it on Amazon, get it on Barnes & Noble, and any of the major retailers that love your tariffs. So, but if you really want to get the best, if you want to, and the best place to get it and probably the cheapest place to get it will be lulu.com. But if you do want to, if you're an Amazon shopper and just want to put it in the cart while you're there, go ahead and do that too. So God bless you all. That's all I got for this session. And I hope everybody will come back and look at Trump's speech tonight for 100 days. It's only been 100 days, 100 glorious days, 100 magnificent days, 100 days of excellence. Not only with Trump, but with all of the people that he has surrounded himself with, put in his cabinet, put on his team. And for all the people, all the great Americans and all the great people across this world who have helped and supported President Trump, the MAGA, the maha, God bless you all. And for anyone who is skeptical, still kind of not sure what to think, who has lost hope in your government, in our government, in the governmental process, keep an open mind. We're always doing something good. We need the government to make the roads out there. We need the government to do some of these simple things. A small government, don't have to be a big government, doesn't have to be a global government. And remember that the people will always be the government. Take your government back. Be a part of your government as much as you possibly can, because you are the government and they fear you the most. The New World Order, the global, the shadow elites, they fear when good people get involved. God bless you all. Remember, Jesus Christ loves you, and so do I, my friends. Till next time.